Hey crew, I've got the key to my 26 BMW M2 CS. And this week, we're gonna see what it's like to live with. Starting with the spacing in my driveway, which is 16 feet wide by 19 and a half feet long. I've got the CS parked just a couple inches in from the edge, sitting next to a 26 Hyundai Ioniq 9 that my wife is reviewing long-term. If you want to check out her content, it's at Mobile Mama on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. And she has this one lined up right there at the edge. Very nice parking job, honey. And with that spacing and the power folding door mirrors of both cars, you can easily walk between them. We could wheel a wagon or double stroller through for our kiddos as well. The front end of the CS is very low, and so having these curb ramps here to help with the clearance of the gutter is essential. And at the back, oh, there's so much space to walk in front of the hedge on the path to my front door. Before I hop inside the car, I wanted to remote start it to get the climate where I want it to be. And I can do that by either 3 times pressing and holding the lock button on the key fob or going into the My BMW app. And I've got a new remote software upgrade I need to do at some point. But I'm gonna hit this button here and confirm. It's gonna send the message to the car. And fire it up. Now the idle of the CS, this is a proper cold start, is really not that loud at all. This is not going to disturb your neighbors if you've got to leave early in the morning for commutes or you're coming back late at night. And now getting inside the vehicle with the key fob on me, I can just pull on the handle and that is going to unlock the door. And with this spacing, it really doesn't matter, but this is the first defined notch, and I can go 2 easily for what should be a casual entrance into this cabin. But you see, the CS gets standard carbon bucket chairs, and with the high side bolsters and that dangerous carbon fiber hump right there in the center, I have to be extra careful getting in. So I lower myself, holding onto the A-pillar, swing my butt over to the middle, and then it's sort of a controlled fall on my way in. Closing up that door. Hey cabin crew, thanks for joining for this day in the life in my 26 BMW M2 CS. In this video, I want to see what it's like to live with a hardened, track-focused version of the M2. Before the car is ready to drive, I'm gonna have to put my foot on the brake and hit the start-stop button. That confirms I'm in the driver's seat with the key fob on me. And before we get going, I want to show you where I would place the items I bring with me every day. Like my iPhone, which is sitting on the wireless charging pad, and there is room around that for a bigger phone. Here in the well, there isn't really a console anymore, and unfortunately that means that storage space is minimal. So I do have my sunglasses just sitting here because there isn't dedicated storage for those elsewhere, and I have a slimline wallet sitting under those, and I have to be very careful because I don't want to scratch up the carbon fiber. In the door pocket, I've got my Ray-Ban Meta sunglass case, and my 32-ounce metal water bottle doesn't fit anywhere, not even in the glove box, so I just put a single-use Fiji water bottle in the door. And my GoPro accessory case also doesn't fit in the door, so I have to put it on the back seats. Yeah, the storage space really does suck in this car. Okay, putting on my seatbelt now, and pulling the gear selector over into drive, pressing down on the parking brake to release it. I'm going to roll on forward, over the curb ramps, make sure I'm clear before I turn the wheel and easily make it past my neighbor's basketball hoops. And I have to eyeball that because there isn't a forward-facing camera in this vehicle. On my way out. As my day is just getting underway, if it is a chilly morning, I can turn on my seat heating in 3 different stages, and pretty much all the time I have my steering wheel heating going. And what's really nice about the Alcantara is that it doesn't get as hot as leather, so even though there's only 1 stage to the heating, I can just kind of leave it on, which I love doing. Now, by converse, if it was a really hot day, then I could only use the climate control to cool me down. These front seats are not ventilated, unfortunately. But they are surprisingly comfortable once you actually get inside them, up to a limit of about 2 hours, as I found out in my road trip video. If you haven't seen that, by the way, go check it out. Beyond that 2-hour mark, you kind of just want to move because you're locked into this leg position with this carbon fiber hump here, and the lower back support just isn't terrific. They are decently adjustable though. You've got the power controls here to slide forward or backward, adjust your back angle, and you can loosen up the side bolsters if you don't want that tight squeeze for the track when you're just trying to run errands. I'm also able to lower the seat enough so at 6 feet tall with a longer torso, I've got plenty of headroom above and I feel immersed in the drive, as you should in a car like this. And if Mobile Mama was the last person to drive this vehicle, she and I both have presets for the seats and the door mirrors. By default, the CS is in the efficient level of throttle response, and so for having 523 horsepower and 479 pound-feet of torque, you are able to gradually get up to speed. The 6-cylinder isn't raring to go in this mode, and of course you can dial things up. I've got the M1 button for a lighter grade of sport, so if I hit that twice, things perk up nicely, and then M2 is full-on aggression. I'm not going to do that right now. Meanwhile, the default adaptive damper level is comfort, and that's not a misnomer. Even though this car is focused on being agile on the track and therefore stiffened, it isn't actually harsh riding around town. It can filter out things like potholes or cracks or surface changes before they truly rattle you in the driver's seat, and that makes you more relaxed. And though I am sad that you can't get the CS with a 6-speed manual, in particular the one out of the Z4 M40i would have been just perfect, the 8-speed auto does lend itself to a more casual daily driving experience, because a manual isn't always fun. If you're constantly commuting in heavy traffic or just needing to engage and disengage the clutch through a series of non-stop lights, then the auto is just chill. And you even have an auto hold function, so sitting in this light for a while, I'm just gonna take a break. The automatic is good for something else as well. A real-world 0 to 60 test. You're gonna launch harder, quicker with the automatic compared to a manual. And because just yesterday, I had my 1,200-mile break-in service for this car, which included changing all the fluids, including the differential fluid, I'm ready to properly test the performance of my car. So, I've got my race box set up here to record all the needed presets for launch control in M2. Foot is on the brake, pin the throttle, build up the revs, preparing launch. It's active, letting go. Oh, the struggle for traction. Still, we get to 60 in 3.70 seconds. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, check your pulse, my friends. Yeah. And after that, I definitely don't need coffee, but I still want it. So I'm gonna pop in here to Moon Goat Coffee Roasters, which is as fun to say as it is to drink. And I spy a parking space right next to an M4 comp, so I think I'll back in. Over here, I'm gonna go into reverse, over and up. That prompts a high-res camera system with trajectory lines, so I can scoot on back along course. Checking the mirrors as well. They haven't chimed it. There they are. Parking sensors say it's time to stop and get coffee. Now to get out, my door is gonna stop right before the M4. Oh, it rhymes. And the exit is definitely easier than the entrance. All right, got my breakfast bagel sandwich and a decaf Americano. Coming back to my car here. You know, the M4 Comp is cool, but next to the M2 CS, it almost looks boring. I need to move my car though to take a better look at it. That's more like it. Now I've got room to work around the car, and the more time I spend with the CS, the more I like how it looks, especially relative to that M4 with its buck teeth. This grille is more traditional and yet aggressive with all the open intakes. That does mean it collects bugs and leaves very easily, but it is really cool with all the strakes and sharp lines, and I love this individual velvet blue color. And it's not uniform either. It really does change from a blue to a purple hue depending on the light, and it's offset by these bronze wheels and the red painted carbon ceramic brakes inside. Stepping back, well, we've got the carbon fiber for the door mirrors and the roof. That's a nice performance-oriented touch. Looking at the profile with that hood bulge and those wheels and the lowered stance of the CS, and then, of course, the carbon fiber ducktail trunk lid. It's so unique, and it really sets this car apart from the standard M2, along with the badging, of course. And down low, we got the carbon fiber diffuser with the quad black-tipped exhaust. 'Tis a striking automobile, and I am proud to own it. And it pairs really nicely with this Depancel Allure automatic chronograph watch, which they were kind enough to send me and let me keep, and I've loved wearing. It's a 43mm head and not too thick, so it feels substantial on my wrist, but isn't too heavy. And I just love these colors. The blue face with the white and orange contrast. The blue leather strap is comfortable, and the orange stitching, actually these colors remind me a little of the M tricolor stitching on this gear selector, and it feels special, especially holding on to this wheel. But in less awesome news, without having a cup holder here in the center console, having the only drink opening be, well, right now occupied by this water bottle, but now that it's free, it's at an angle. So with this amount of liquid left in the coffee cup, I don't feel, yeah, that's just gonna spill out the moment I start driving. So I can't go anywhere until I finish this. Bummer. It ends up working out though, because now I can eat this delicious looking breakfast bagel sandwich. It's got some arugula for garnish. I'm not big on arugula, but it looks good here, with cheese and egg and bacon on an everything bagel. Let's have a bite. That's pretty good. Everything is in the right proportion, no dominant ingredients, and it's all cooked really well. Now that we have evaluated the around town ability, it's important to understand why someone would deal with the lack of cabin storage, or the slightly bumpier ride, or the more restrictive seats. And that 0 to 60 I just did was a bit of a teaser for a more expansive explanation, provided courtesy of M1 and a heaping helping of throttle. Okay, yeah, 523 horsepower. That feels a bit underrated, graded by the seat of the pants. I've been in a lot of cars, a lot of fast cars. This feels a bit closer to the high fives, maybe even low sixes, when you put your foot all the way down. Knowing especially that with at least stability still turned on, traction turned off, the car is attempting to get the power to the ground via just the rear tires, and so it's holding back ever so slightly. Because from experience, if you turn everything off and you just pin the throttle, even in a straight line, even while you're moving at a fair speed, it will step out. Goodness gracious. Holy cow. And my other car makes 1,000 horsepower, and this still makes me giddy. Oh, goodness me. Though I have to admit, it lacks a little in the sound department. Hearing from the inline six-cylinder is part of the joys of driving an M car, but it's fairly muted even with the baffles of the exhaust opened up, which is why I'm considering one of my first modifications to this car being a valved exhaust. But it's actually what happens when I go into the M2 mode, the road gets twisty, and I take over manual control of the 8-speed auto, that the worthwhileness of the CS package becomes so very clear. Because here's where this car feels alive. It's bred to consume ribbons of asphalt like this, even more so at the track, but still on a good canyon road. The way the carbon ceramics scrub the speed, the way it turns into curves and actually gives you solid feedback through this wheel, which is something I can't say as much of the standard M2. The way the body is so controlled, and that limited slip differential with the Cup 2 tires does get the power to the ground when you need it coming out of curves. I mean, here's where I would really appreciate the added engagement of a good manual transmission. But not having that, I can still take pleasure in the way this 8-speed automatic works through the gears. and the action of pulling the paddles, which have a beautiful carbon fiber face to them, but more importantly, do have good travel. So I actually get some feedback from pulling on them. A little bit of overrun is a treat as well. It's so dialed in, this car. And the mid-range is so intense. I do want to get it back on a track when it's not in a downpour like my first drive of this vehicle, which if you haven't seen that, go check it out. Now, it may seem obvious, but if you don't plan on carving up canyon roads or visiting the track with regularity, then a standard M2 is going to be much more cost-effective and is just reasonable. It's still got plenty of power, even though it's down 50 horses to this. But if you do want to engage in activities like this often, then you absolutely will appreciate the differences and the way it brings a bigger smile to your face and more flutter to your heart. Oh, it was a good decision buying this car. Really was. If you need me, I'll be here for a while. I did actually have to stop because I've got a lunch date with Mobile Mama. And here she is, the one, the only.
Oh, wow.
The most mobile of the dancers. Wow, you're giving a whole, I guess there's a good amount of footwell space. Yeah, because you can do a whole tap dance in there. It's your favorite kind of dance. It's Mobile Mama, everybody.
Hi.
We're gonna go get some sushi at a new sushi spot. I'm excited to try it.
I'm excited because I'm hungry.
Yes, you are. I know, because I just filmed you and she was a bit irritated.
You know what I want? I have a shirt idea. I'm not mean, I'm just in a calorie deficit. That's a good shirt. Okay.
And I think it's accurate, because you are a very nice person. But you know what? When you get hangry, watch out, world. She's coming for you. You've spent some time in the M2 CS, right? We had our anniversary. We went to San Clemente.
Yeah.
We had a lovely day.
Yeah, and a great ride.
Yes. And did you find the seat to be sufficiently comfortable for you?
I didn't mind it.
Yeah?
I will say, yeah, I mean, this part gets a little... can be irritating for women after a while, but the seat is comfortable.
So I say it's dangerous for men, for obvious reasons, but for you, I get why, because you want to cross your legs or something.
Yeah.
Just move the legs.
It just limits what you should wear.
Yeah.
Like, I'm comfortable in jeans or leggings, whatever, but
yes,
just be careful with what you wear.
Understood.
Also, there's no room for stuff in here. So just pack minimally, don't bring anything other than your phone.
Which she always has just stuff. I don't know how she has so many things with her all the time. But this vehicle, actually, this is like living in a very small house or apartment. You can't have that much stuff because there's nowhere to put it.
Yeah, it's like it's a tiny house.
Yeah.
I do like it more than the Dodge.
Really? See, that's surprising to me because the Dodge is so much more comfortable. Right? Like the seats are big armchairs. They're so squishy and the ride is softer.
Yeah, but this is more like fun and a statement piece, and it's an occasion vehicle. I feel like this is an occasion.
That is fair.
You also don't drive your cars all the time, so...
We review cars, so I can't drive it that much, but I'm driving it a lot this week, and I'm liking it a lot. The tech is certainly an upgrade.
Because you bought it.
I did. We bought it. We bought it. Honey, I like to remind her that this is her car too.
Okay, I'll drive it tomorrow. Well, it's been a while since I've been in one of your videos.
It has. I've actually had my mom in a lot of videos recently, and not you. Yeah. She's so busy, Mobile Mama is, making great content and just having better things to do, I guess.
No, I'm watching our kids.
It's true, yeah.
Hanging out with them.
That is a much better thing to do.
That is better, sorry.
Are you glad you're in this video, in this car?
I am. I really like this car. Love the carbon fiber.
Yes.
I like the tech, except this screen. It's just, this is overwhelming to me, and all these icons just kind of not pleasant to look at.
That's a fair point, but the more time you spend with the car, the more you realize things like customization. So you can customize this home screen.
But
so you
that
have all
looks cool.
Yeah, this is cool, and it's got all the things you care about right here. I wanted this stuff right up front, and that's where it is every time I start the car. And I know the ride is a little bit bouncier than, for example, the Challenger, but it's good for me. Should we get some sushi?
Yes.
Yes. And here we are at Himo Sushi. Let's give it a shot.
Never tried it before.
I know, I'm excited. And there's a spot for us. What could be better? Thank you. This place is cool.
I like it.
Look at his face.
Are you kidding?
That is beautiful. You influencing right now?
What if I film like that all the time?
I would so not be here right now. I'd be eating anywhere else. But that looks really good. And you've got the monster roll here with the baked salmon and shrimp, yellowtail, the Texas roll. Oh my gosh, this looks good. I got the 10-piece sushi. Cheers. Now, let's test the practicality with a run to Costco to benefit the charity Families Forward. I'm out here looking like a prepper right now with all this stuff. I feel like I need a sign saying it's not for me. Anyway, is it all gonna fit in the back of the M2 CS? Well, first, let's cool off the cabin with remote start, because even though it's the middle of January, it's like 80 degrees right now. And then I'm going to release the trunk. I have to lift it up, but it weighs nothing because it's carbon fiber. And let's get to work. Quick assessment first of the trunk space. There's actually quite a bit of it, and no storage underneath the floor. That's the battery, but I do have these cubbies off to the side, and if I need to, I'm really hoping I don't, I can pull on these two levers to split fold down the rear seats. I'm pretty good at Costco Tetris, but I can't do the impossible. And so with one layer of items in the trunk, the space is almost completely gone. So I am going to have to fold down at least one side of the seats. I'm gonna pull on this lever, go around, fold down, and at least get one big bulky thing out of the way. Now back to business. And the good news here is that the trunk floor isn't terribly low, so lifting heavy items in or out isn't all that bad. Well, I managed to keep 60% of the back seats available for a passenger or car seat, and I stacked up the trunk pretty nicely, if I say so myself, because it all fits. Whee! So after returning my cart, like a responsible shopper, oh, come on, and returning someone else's, because this is really so hard, everyone, I can confirm, here we go, that the BMW M2 CS is Costco approved, if you don't need a full car. I should also point out that rearward visibility has been maintained, and thanks to that folding rear headrest is very good. Also, not too thick of A-pillars here, and not even that thick of a C-pillar back there. There's also blind spot monitoring to help. And on such a warm winter day as this, I'm made painfully aware of how weak the AC system is. This is max airflow. And it's effectively a gentle breeze. It makes more noise, but it doesn't push out more air. And now I have to promptly turn that AC down, because on the drive to drop these things off at Families Forward, I do want to listen to the cabin volume at highway speeds. So we've had two different road surfaces there. We've got this smooth tarmac and then the pieces of concrete, and the tire noise was definitely more prevalent on the concrete, but here, it's not bad at all. I do get a little bit of road noise coming in from the outside cars and a small bit of wind noise. I'd say it's not bad, especially when you consider they did have to remove some cabin insulation to save weight in this CS model. And if you were going to commute in this car, you do have some driving assistance features like adaptive cruise control, so I can take my foot off the throttle or brake, and it's going to maintain the gap to the vehicle in front of me. The only thing I discovered about this system relative to some others on the market is that the stop and go version of adaptive cruise will time out after a couple seconds. So you have to go back to the throttle if you have been sitting there, and it's then going to resume adaptive cruise. It's delivery time here at Families Forward. Now that I'm on my way home, I want to listen to some tunes with the Harman Kardon sound system that is standard and wireless Apple CarPlay. And it takes over the whole screen, so it's easy to find the icon I'm looking for. Get Spotify going here. Then with the physical volume knob, thankful for that, I'm gonna crank it up to around 60, maybe 65% of peak output. Well, I would say that's a good spread to the audio profile, not the highs or mids or the bass dominating the soundtrack, but I will say I was hoping for a little more clarity in the upper range and maybe just a little more punch of bass down low, but it did block out all the outside road noise, so I'm satisfied. It is finally time to refuel this 13.7 gallon tank, and the M2 CS is EPA rated at 16 mpg in the city, 23 on the highway, and 19 combined, which I'm not actually mad at. And in fact, on my road trip, I got about 24 miles per gallon, although that was a lot of highway driving. And during my entire ownership tenure of 1,287 miles, I've averaged just about 19 combined mpg. My biggest issue is not the fuel economy, but rather how small that fuel tank is. 13.7 gallons means I am refueling it pretty darn often. And at current fuel prices here in SoCal of $4.55 for 91 octane gas that is required, it's gonna cost me about 67 bucks to fill this tank, and there isn't capless fueling, so I have to work just a little bit harder. Well, crew, at the beginning of this video, I pondered what it would be like to live with a tightened up, powered up version of an M2. And after about 1,300 miles behind the wheel, I've come away with a few complaints and a few praises. There are some practicality hangups with this car. Getting in and out of these carbon bucket seats is a hassle, and not having a surround view camera for parking is a little inconvenient. The AC blower is kinda weak, and the fuel tank should be larger, but the worst daily driver offense by far is the lack of a horizontal cup holder and the more restrictive cabin storage. On the bright side, the seats are surprisingly comfortable when you're actually in them for up to about 2 hours. The ride is reasonably compliant and the tech is cutting edge. And one thing minimizes all of the daily irritants: driving this car. Giving it proper exercise on a good road or track is rewarding enough to make you overlook all of, or at least tolerate, all of the hassle. I am 100% happy I own this car, and I hope you guys have enjoyed this day in the life. I will see you again next time.